This video got removed, but after a lot of trial and error, we managed to get it back. Somebody out there does not want you to see this one.
Before we get into this topic, we have to talk about where we were. You'll see some footage behind us, and we were riding to the northernmost point of China. In our previous video, you probably saw we were along the border, there with Russia, and in Heilongjiang province, heading to a place called Mohe, which is right on the border over there. But something rather nasty happened, didn't it, on the way?
Yeah.
Thanks, Simo. My worst nightmare came true. All this time we've been driving through bee swarms and after bee swarm, and we're so paranoid that they'll get inside of our jacket, and Winston narrowly avoided a one, but this one went straight up my sleeve and I felt it. You know, it was just like hot pokers and needles going in and out of my skin, and I felt it and I would stop moving, but then Winston stopped to help me get my jacket off, and he moved around more and it was like, ah! And it just started stinging me everywhere I got.
Yeah, you got one here.
One here.
One here.
One here. One here, one here, one here,
one here,
one here. I got stung about 10 times by one hornet, and that thing was massive.
Yeah,
I could feel it on my skin. It was just grasping onto me for dear life, stinging me over and over again. And this damn leather jacket just kept it inside. There's another one.
Oh man.
I got stung so much.
I think your jacket's clear of hornets now.
Wow, that was not pleasant. Is that my reward for trying to finish this 10,000 kilometer journey? We're like literally 10 Ks away.
Yeah, I know.
We're almost done.
Yeah.
Oh, anyway, zip up your sleeves. It's freaking bad.
I will do. Thank you for the advice.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of something we've been dreading this whole time. I didn't think it would happen.
Oh.
Anyway, well done for not crashing.
That's the scariest part, is it really does feel like you're going to crash when you're in that scenario.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh. Wow.
Anyway, wow.
No
there
way!
are bloody insects everywhere, aren't there? Let's get a move on before they attack us.
Yeah, I got to get back dressed up again.
Sure thing.
Now, I'm not the only one that got stung, because we're gonna be talking about a guy that got stung real bad by the Chinese government, but then the Chinese government tried to bribe us.
Bribe us.
Now,
yeah.
to cover this story. So
Yeah.
we're gonna do we're gonna cover this in a very special way, so as not to do their bidding, and actually expose how the Chinese government approaches people to try to get them to do their dirty work. Yeah.
And if my mind worked backwards just for a minute, I'd hold on to you.
So I guess we're going to start by talking about a man called Sima Nan.
Yeah. It seems anonymous. There's many things you could do with this name.
Yeah, you're good. Yeah. So what do we know about Sima Nan?
So for those of you guys that don't know what a Wu Mao is, quick rundown. A Wu Mao, or a 50-cent army, is somebody that is technically paid 50 Chinese cents for every comment that they leave all over the internet, right? On YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, all these places, that promotes China or attacks people that are against the Chinese government, right? And the issue with that is that there's many different kinds. There's people that do it on their own because they're nationalists. There's people that do it because they get paid. There's prisoners that do it. And then there's the directors, the top guys. And we call these guys the top Wu Mao.
Yeah,
right?
the top.
The top Wu Mao, there's 4 of them that are really famous. And five of them, I'm sorry. One of them is very, very famous, and that is the Sima Nan guy.
Yeah.
Right?
Now, actually didn't even know about this guy before we were contacted by an agent on behalf of the Chinese government to smear him.
In American agency.
Yes.
Right?
The internet can be a pretty awesome place.
I like having control over the computer and making it do things.
But it can also be a pretty scary place, too.
Here's a woman who had some dreams about dolphins.
In this day and age, there's really no excuse not to use a VPN. And the VPN that we choose to use is NordVPN. NordVPN is a fantastically easy to use tool that takes all of the data that you put through the internet or your connection or anything that you're doing online and makes sure that it's encrypted and anonymous so that no prying eyes can see what you're doing online.
This is very, very important because you put all kinds of stuff on the internet. Your credit card information, your identity, your name, your address, all of this stuff could be snapped up and used for nefarious purposes. For example, like a man-in-the-middle attack, where somebody will actually intercept your connection, take all of your information, and then either use it against you or even steal your identity to commit crimes. If you go to nordvpn.com/ADVChina, not only are you gonna get a massive discount off a 2-year plan, but you're also going to get 4 free additional months. That's a fantastic deal. And when you click the link below and get the awesome deal for NordVPN, you're also helping the channel. So thanks. So here's the deal. I want to run everyone down. This is not the first time this has happened. This is actually become quite a common occurrence.
Yeah.
And what happened was what we saw after 2019 when China started to attack the Hong Kong protesters and then attack anybody that was questioning where COVID came from. They would use advertising agencies.
Yes.
And they would be out of Hong Kong to give them more credibility. I'm doing a lot of this.
Yeah, sure.
The reason is that they would go use them as a way to wash the influence.
Yeah.
So when the Chinese government wants to go put out a narrative or a directive, they want to wash their hands of that so it doesn't look like it's coming from them.
Yeah, they want to just basically cut all direct connection to the Chinese government.
Yeah, so these agencies, what they'll do is they'll reach out to influencers, like YouTubers, for example, and they'll say, hey, they talk about China. Would look natural if they talked about this, and they'll say, hey, can you cover a video about how the Hong Kong protesters are bad? Yeah. Hey, can you cover a video about how actually COVID was found in white-tailed deer?
White-tailed deer, 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 white-tailed deer.
In America before it was found in China.
Yeah.
Can you cover all these things that more or less are just Chinese propaganda talking points where they're trying to misguide the public? Yeah. It's basically the Chinese government knowing that they're lying and trying to get that lie to proliferate.
They've got this massive thing called the United Front. Again, basically what they do is they take every angle that they can to spread Chinese propaganda, and whether that is through influencers like ourselves, or whether it's through news agencies, or it doesn't matter, newspapers and magazines overseas, cultural events. They have all these fingers in all these different pies, and this is just one of the things they do. So I'm jumping the gun a little bit here. Before we talk about the Seaman Un guy, because it's a hilarious story, we have to talk about this email that we got. Yeah. And it's very important that we pay attention to the date, because it all ties in.
It does.
So
I'll read it.
Yeah, go for it. First of all, when did we receive this email?
This is on August 16, 2022. So that's a date you should keep in mind, because it'll make sense very clearly towards the end of the video.
Okay, so what does this email say? By the way, this email was sent to us by an American agency.
Yeah, called Briz Media Group. We won't say who or give the email address, but we'll show you that it is indeed from Briz Media Group.
Yeah, and this is from looking at their website, is an agency that kind of hooks up influencers with advertisers and things.
Normal stuff.
Yeah, but this is what the Chinese government does, is they use agencies like this. Anyway, go ahead and read the email.
Hi, hope you're doing well. I'm reaching out to see if we can work together on a 2-minute video, so very short, to be distributed on your YouTube account. So this came to one of our joint accounts, right?
Actually came to 2 of our accounts.
Yes, we won't say which ones, but I will say that they are both read by us, right?
Yeah.
And these are accounts that we would probably use for finding sponsors and things like this, right? We would provide the content along with a detailed script.
Okay.
So here we go. Just like the other times we've been approached.
Just imagine reaching out to a random YouTuber out there and like, hey, we want you to make a 2-minute video. We're going to give you a script and the content to do it.
Yeah.
Isn't it suspect?
It's suspect. Guess what?
What?
A lot of people do it. And I could, I'm not a bad person. If I was somebody that just wanted to get the truth out there, I could tell you names. I could give you names right now of people that are doing this for the Chinese government.
Sure.
The background is that SMN...
Okay, so wait, we're getting back to the email now.
Yes.
So you're reading the email now, verbatim. Let's go.
The background is that SMN has never admitted that his family lives in the United States and owns real estate. Recently, an influencer with the same patriotic banner as him went to the United States after reaping interest in China and exposed SMN again. This is literal Chinglish, by the way.
Yeah.
This is Chinese grammar. It can translate in my
head.
So
they just sending us whatever their client.
Yeah, so this part is just obviously copy-pasted from the client.
Yeah.
SMN had to admit By the way, this SMN is clearly an acronym,
Simanan.
but we're gonna find out. They tried to cover that up.
Yeah.
It is interesting that an influencer who is popular with the slogan of anti-US, such Chinese grammar, buys a house in the United States. Please let me know if you're interested in learning more. Also, can you pass along your pricing? I look forward to hearing from you. So the email is normal English from this guy that works at Briz Media Group, and then the copy-paste stuff in the middle is very clear Chinglish.
So remember, we received that email on August 16th.
By the way, I want everyone to know, and we're going to tell you what we replied in a minute.
Yeah.
But you need to know very clearly that we only embraced this conversation because we're planning on making a video, because this is yet again the Chinese government trying to reach out to us to make propaganda for them.
Yeah, it happens often. And a lot of the shills, you'll see that they actually take this stuff up. And then in some of these emails we get, they mention the other shills' names as their examples. And it kind of exposes that they've been taking money from the Chinese government.
Multiple times now.
Anyway, so it was on, let's get the date right here, August 21st. Okay. At around 10 a.m., border police basically arrested Simanan, SMN.
One of these King Wu Maos.
Yes, and he was arrested at the Beijing International Airport, suspected of insider trading by his company.
Interesting.
Now let's rewind a little bit, because remember, on August 16th, we were told, "Hey, make a video." Talking shit about this guy.
Yeah.
That's the whole
CCP
point.
guy.
Yeah.
Right.
So I'll give you a rundown of this guy. Okay. He became very famous in China because he was an anti-pseudoscience activist.
Yeah.
Okay. Which I can get behind
that.
Yeah. He grew up and his father was a TCM guy. And I guess he saw through the BS.
Sure.
But he was very small until Jiang Zemin, who was the leader of China at the time, banned the Falun Gong, which is like a cult spiritual practice thing.
Yeah, the Falun Gong, they do breathing exercises like meditation stuff. But the most important thing is what Jiang Zemin was known for, his most brutal moment was when he outlawed Falun Gong in China and rounded out all the practitioners up. Yeah,
so it's kind of like almost like Scientology is what I like to compare it to. So they basically,
but we support people's right to do it.
Yeah, you could do whatever you want. You could be a Scientologist, you can be a Falun Gong. It's up to you. Anyway, the thing is, they used the Simanan guy. He became like the face of this whole movement. He was being sent around the country to talk about like how Falun Gong pseudoscience, and he was giving lectures, and so he became very famous. In
the propaganda sphere against Falun Gong.
But he became incredibly famous, where he's got millions and millions. Like, I think altogether of all of his accounts, he has about 100 million followers on his social media, which is ridiculous. So anyway, he's got all these millions and millions and millions of followers everywhere. He's very well known. And then he moved on from the pseudoscience stuff to become incredibly nationalist. So he would put a lot of like heavy rhetoric out there about how bad America is, and America's like a terrible place, and it's,
there's actually a state-run enterprise / business model in China, which is, I think it's called like patriotic social media, something like that, where they go out there and stoke patriotism for China, and then be anti-American. Yeah,
so it's all about it being anti-American. And he would attack anyone who like immigrated to America.
Yeah, that was his calling card.
That's what he'd do, is he'd, attack them and like, oh, why are you, why is your family in America? You should be, nationalist and all that. So he's very well known as this like nationalist firebrand.
Yes.
Okay. Now, there was a little incident which kind of outed him. Okay, and this is the crazy thing, is this guy who hates America, is massively nationalistic. Turns out that he's actually his family is in America.
Right.
Okay, turns out he has an American green card. Turns out he's got lots of property. He's not only got one house.
Oh, even had a green card.
Yeah, he had a green card. When they caught him at the airport, he had his American green card on him. He's got 3 properties in America worth millions. Okay, typical bullshit, right? But the funny thing was, it was in 2012 that he got outed, because what happened was he just finished making a massive like anti-USA campaign on all his social media about how bad America is. But then he flew to America for Chinese New Year because his family's in America. He flew to America. But now the reason people found out is he got his head stuck in an elevator. Okay, so
Wait, what?
well, you know, like an escalator. So you
Yeah.
know, like when you're going up an escalator, and
Yeah.
then they'd say "mind your head" or whatever.
Yeah, he didn't mind his head.
No, he like stuck his.
Do you think he couldn't read the sign?
Probably not. So he like stuck his head over the corner, and so like his head got jammed, you know, between the wall and the
Yo,
escalator.
in China, people die from that.
I know,
so
but
he's
like-
lucky to be in America.
But he ended up having to be like taken to hospital and
Yeah, of
stuff. You know,
course.
like so. Then like pictures of him in the hospital got out on
Oh, so
social
that's how
media,
it happened.
and people were like, "What the hell? What are you
Because
doing
they were
in
like
America?"
they were like looking up to him.
Yeah,
for
they were
being
like-
anti-American.
Yeah, you've just told us all that America sucks and all that,
Yeah.
but then why are you there?
Right.
You know, why are you there visiting your
Hypocrite.
family? So anyway, that's old news. But turns out just before we got this email to our inbox, people found out that he actually owned property in the USA as well. So not only is he a massive hypocrite that his family's there and he travels there all the time and so on and so forth, but now he actually owns a house. So now he has to admit and basically put out an apology. Okay, but that's obviously not good enough. Whoever's after
Yeah.
this guy, because this is not natural, by the way.
No.
You know, he's been the darling of the Chinese Communist Party for so long.
Yeah.
If he were to like have any trouble, they would have looked after him. They would have censored the internet posts of people trying to call him out or
course.
whatever. You know, that wouldn't have been allowed
They
to spread.
allowed it to happen.
But you see, this is how the Chinese government uses its netizens and uses
Yeah.
its anti-corruption campaigns and stuff to actually get rid of people they don't like.
Yes.
Okay, because what's happening right now is it turns out that this guy is kind of on the wrong faction in the CCP.
Yeah.
You know, maybe you can quickly explain the main faction.
Yeah, I'll just do a super like explain it like I'm fine version. But basically, you have the Jiang Zemin faction.
Yeah.
You have the Hu Jintao faction, which were the prior two leaders before Xi Jinping, and you have the Xi Jinping faction, right? Mm-hmm. What's been happening with the Xi Jinping faction is he's wiping out all the competition within the party because inside, it's not a democratic government, but inside the party, people are constantly vying for power.
Yeah.
And the Hu Jintao and the Jiang Zemin administration came together and kind of said, you know what, it's your turn. It's your turn to make this policy. It's your turn. And there was a lot of, it was almost like it kind of worked. They coexisted
Sure.
quite well.
Sure.
The Xi Jinping, the group, the clique that he's created and all the yes men surrounding him and all the people he's gotten rid of from the other factions in his anti-corruption drive, has created a situation where the Xi Jinping faction is clearly the most powerful, and he's very worried about anyone rising back up to power, so he's been wiping everyone out. So this guy, SMN,
Yeah, Simenon. Yeah.
he was on the Jiang Zemin faction.
Right, and obviously, because Jiang Zemin's the guy who gave him all his power, you know,
the
sent him
Falun Gong
around,
crackdown, yeah.
sent him around the country, made him a name for himself.
Yeah.
So he's backing Jiang Zemin. And right now, there is an internal power struggle inside the CCP.
Yeah.
And Xi Jinping is trying to get rid of anyone loyal to Jiang Zemin.
Yeah.
And so that's very obviously what's happened
Yeah.
here, is they're like, okay, this guy's got to go. How do we get rid of him? Pretty easy. We just expose his hypocrisy that he's, you know, got family and he's got all his money and stuff in America, which is ridiculous because all Chinese like officials have houses abroad and family abroad. Even Xi Jinping himself has family in America.
Yes.
And, you know, connections to property and stuff like that. So everyone does it. So it's just a convenient way to get rid of him. And so they reached out to us, obviously, and
Yeah.
probably a bunch of other people too.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Not probably.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
it was a
yeah.
blanket
Obviously,
thing,
anyone
probably.
to do with China, really,
Yeah.
and offered them money to spread this information out there. Because think about it: if foreigners are talking about it like us, it's even easier for them to say, like, "Well, look, he's been exposed by foreigners as well, so you know, like, let's just get rid of this guy." It obviously reached a point where they were like, "Okay, we've managed to like." Destroy his character, okay, expose him as a hypocrite, but we really need to get rid of him now. It's not working. You know, he made an apology and he's still around, so let's just get him for some insider trading.
Yeah.
Which is what they ended up doing.
And I mean, let's be totally honest, it's a pretty common crime.
Of course. On top of
In
that,
China.
they completely blocked all his
Yeah.
social media, so all
They
his
shut him
100
down.
million followers
Yeah.
and stuff, it's all been blocked. You can go there, but it's like suspended or whatever. And so you can see how basically the Xi Jinping government tried to pay us to help them get rid of a rival.
Yeah, and I'd like to read the rest of the emails
Yeah.
now, if you don't mind.
Yeah, go for it. So
So I said,
go for
sorry,
it,
person who's contacting us on behalf of this Briz Media Group.
Yeah.
Said, who's SMN? I'm confused as to what this is about.
We genuinely didn't know.
We didn't know. Yeah, I was trying to figure it out. We knew immediately that this was sus.
Yeah. We knew Sima Nan when it came out that he got arrested and stuff. But before that, we were like,
we had
what
no
the
idea.
hell is SMN?
But we did know this is going to be some sort of like CCP paid operation.
Yes.
Now, we don't take money for any messaging.
No
matter what side, we do not take money from. So that's what this company got confused. But I like to lead we like to lead these people on to figure out what their motivations are.
Yeah, and they very often let slip, and that's how we've got a lot of inside information. Yeah.
He says, the agency in China I'm working with will not disclose the entity. I was just using SMN as a placeholder example. If you're interested, I can ask them for a draft of the full script they'd like you to follow for your review and approval. Please let me know if you have any other questions. Now, this is bad because, listen, I don't know if you guys know this, but there have been a lot of agents and foreign influence operations that are being exposed both from Russia and China in America right now, and the eyes are hot on these things, right? It's not a good look to have an American company running foreign influence operations and exchanging money to change opinions online for the Chinese government.
Yeah.
Bro, like, not just this. There's many companies doing this. That's not good.
No.
Like, morally and probably legally as well. But I said, thanks, beep. I like to see the script and know the price before moving forward if possible. I want to know how much they're trying to pay.
Sure.
Because it's interesting to see what their budget is for this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Oftentimes it's really low, and then but then like when you show disinterest, they like bump it up. Remember?
I mean, we've been offered from the get-go $2,000 sometimes.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
You know.
He says, "Hi, there's no specific script yet. The main thing is to see whether we can cooperate. If we can cooperate, the script can be changed according to the influencer and can be freely played. What do you think is a fair price for the project?" So he's going back and forth.
Yeah.
I said, it's hard to say without knowing the content of the video script. I don't do paid videos, so this is new to me.
Yeah.
He says, any interest? In like very big letters.
Yeah.
And I said, if you can get me some more info. And he says, sorry, I now see you're not into these sort of arrangements. I don't like this language.
No, this is very dodgy.
I sent the article about the whole thing.
Yeah, which one?
Never replied. The SMCPU.
Oh, right. Excellent. The whole thing about Sima Nan, you sent that to him, yeah.
After it came out.
Yeah. Yeah, you see, it's really dodgy the way that this guy approached us as well.
I don't like this at all. No. I do not like this. It makes me very uncomfortable. This shouldn't be happening in the U.S. Not okay.
No.
Not okay. It actually pisses me off.
Sure.
Do not work for the Chinese government if you're in America. It's ridiculous.
I know. It's terrible. And, you know, you can't try to say SMN is a placeholder.
Stop it.
That's
we know who
exactly
that is.
The story that you put there is exactly what happened to this guy. It's definitely Sima Nan.
Yeah.
It's his initials.
Yeah. And I just want to quote this again. The agency in China I'm working with
will not disclose the entity.
Come on. Don't put that out there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, what agency are you working with? The MSS?
Gee, I wonder what it is.
Yeah. No, it's no good. So out there, when you're hearing people talking, in the China sphere anyway, when they're telling you things, and you always have to understand that there's a very big possibility that there's some kind of behind-the-scenes strings being pulled.
For sure.
They're being told to say things about certain people.
As we saw a lot of videos come out about this afterwards.
Yeah.
So we didn't want to teach you about Sima Nan. What we wanted to teach you about was how the Chinese government uses people and influencers to spread whatever dirty deed they want to do.
Yeah.
And it's a little behind-the-scenes peek of how that works.
Yeah.
And they constantly keep mistakenly reaching out to the wrong people.
Yeah. Anyway.
And I'm sure a lot of people turned it down too.
Oh, I hope a lot of people did. Yeah. Anyway, guys, I hope you learned something from this. And be very careful when listening to influencers when they talk about China, unless, of course, it's us.
There's no gatekeeping here.
Yeah, no, of course not. But seriously, we will always let you know. We never take money to put out any message or anything like that. And stay awesome.